And it simply says this: the word which came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, Arise and go down to the potter's house, and there I will cause thee to hear my words. Then I went down to the potter's house, and behold, he wrought the work on the wheels. And the vessel that he made of clay was marred in the hand of the potter. So he made it again, another vessel, as seemed good to the potter to make it. You may be seated. Tonight I want to talk to you simply. Title my message, The Vision of the Potter is Attainable. Somebody say, the vision of the potter is attainable. It was years ago, my mom, when I was a little kid, she worked at a little place called Henrietta's. Anybody ever been to, Brother Barbara and Sister Barbara, y'all ever been to Henrietta's in Ocean Springs? It was a hole in the wall, but they had some good food. And a lot of times when celebrities would come down, that was like one of the places they were told to go, because that was like our thing in Ocean Springs. And my mom worked there, and the guy that owned the place was Mr. Sammy Satanovich, and you had to say his name real careful. And anyway, but he had come in one day, and I just happened to be there because they had a little back room. A lot of times I could go in there and just sit while Mom worked, and I was out of the way. I was in the back. Nobody could see me. He come in one day, and he had just a bad day, and I don't remember all the details, but I'm sure it was like some of our days, a flat tire. Got a call that the something had broken, busted somewhere. And he come in, and boy, he was just all disgusted. He was in a mood. He said, "You know what?" He said, "I don't care." He said, I may be a crumb today, but I'm going to be a loaf of bread tomorrow. He said, "I'm not going to let it get me down." So if you will, turn to your neighbor and say, "Neighbor, I may be a crumb today, but I'm going to be a loaf of bread tomorrow." See, you don't know my story. You don't know what all I've been through. And I know I look like I'm a mess. But oh, when God gets through with me, because the vision of the potter is attainable. It reminds me of a tale long ago, and yes, here we go. And I feel crazy because a lot of times I get my messages from stories. And so I told Pastor and Sister Michelle, and then some people have texted me, and I appreciate some of the text messages I got. And I said, we all have our style, we all have our thing. And so here we go. It reminds me of a story of a long time ago. There was an old man who lived alone. He was an excellent wood carver. He made all kind of things. He made wooden shoes, he made furniture, and he made toys. You name it, and he could make it. One day during his loneliness, though, he decided to carve a puppet. He said the puppet would be like my son that I never had. The old man worked tirelessly, and finally, after much effort, he put the finishing touches on this puppet. There before him lay a life-size puppet of a boy. The old man thought, oh, if only he were a real live boy. And a tear began to run down his face as he imagined all the good times that they would have. He began to imagine all the times that they would go fishing, all the times that they would play ball, and he could imagine him teaching this puppet, if it were his real boy, to ride the bike. But the story goes on, and the old man lays down and goes to sleep. But when on the morning's light he awakens to hear the clapping of wooden dancing feet. What? Could this actually be? He runs into the work area to find his masterpiece dancing and singing around the room. The old man's so happy, my puppet has come to life. No, he isn't a real live boy exactly, But he's only made of wood. But he is alive. Papa Geppetto says with a gleam in his eye, I think I'll name him Pinocchio. The old man, happy as he can be, he finally has a son that he had never had before, that he had always wanted though. He decides, I must train him up, and if he is true and if he is strong to do what's right, one day he'll surely be a real live boy. The old man had a vision that one day the wooden body of the boy would become more like him. Flesh and blood. Oh, that my boy will someday be like me. He thinks, what a day that would be. It was Pinocchio's full desire to make his father proud and to become the real live boy that his father had always envisioned and desired. One day the old man told Pinocchio, now today you'll go to school like all the other boys. Pinocchio was so excited. He was getting one more step closer to his goal of being the real live boy that his dad desired so much. He thought, I'm one step closer to my goal. However, on his way, he happened across a sly fox called Honest John. Honest John was very intrigued to see a walking, talking, and living wooden puppet. Dollar signs filled Honest John's mind and his eyes. John tells Pinocchio, you know, school is boring, and a boy of your talent, you really don't need school. I think what you ought to do is come with me. I know somebody that can make you really, really rich. And Pinocchio's eyes gets big, and he says, you know, your poor Papa Geppetto, he'll never have to work again. Pinocchio's ears pop. This sounds really good. So he said, all right, well, I'll go with you. And so unbeknown to Pinocchio, his aim to become the real life boy just turned down and went down a wrong street. He would find himself enslaved to a puppet master. Pinocchio would also be kept in a cage. And as the story goes on, Pinocchio escapes. However, on his way home, he runs into a coachman driving a huge wagon loaded with young boys his age. The coachman asked him, he said, where are you off to today? And Pinocchio replied, I'm going home to my father. He's probably worried about me. I've been gone for quite a while. And the coachman said, oh, that's too bad. You see this busload of boys, this coach load of boys? We're off to a place called Pleasure Island. And Pinocchio's ears tickled. That sounded like an awesome place to be. He says, tell me more about this Pleasure Island. And the coachman tells him, he said, it's an awesome place. He said, it's an island, and the whole island is nothing but a carnival. And you're free to do whatever you want, whenever you want to do it. Your parents have no reign over you. You can eat all the junk food that you want. You can have ice cream all day long, 3 times a day if you choose. Pinocchio thought, well, maybe I can go for just a little bit. I can go for just a little while. So Pinocchio thinks, and he says, I can go home after a while. At Pleasure Island, at first it lived up to its name. Wow, it was fun. It was fun eating all the candy. All the candy you could ever want. Having all the fun you want. Doing whatever you wanted. But then Pinocchio feels strange. He grabs his ears and they've become like the ears of a donkey. The story tells us that he even grew a tail like a donkey. What? Pinocchio cries, no, this isn't at all what I was started out to be. My desire was to become a real live boy. My father envisioned and desired me to be. How did I end up like this? Now I'm all messed up. I'll never be the real live boy that I desire to be. He takes off running to escape the island. He jumps in the water and swims in a desperate attempt to get back to his father. He tries to swim, but a whale swallows him up. Surprisingly, the old man, Papa Geppetto, had set out to find Pinocchio, and he also had been swallowed by the same whale. It's funny how the father met Pinocchio in the deepest, darkest part of his life. Pinocchio cries and hugs Geppetto. He says, "Dad, I know I failed and I'm so sorry. I fell so short of the vision that you had for me. But please don't throw me away. Please don't give up on me." Pinocchio had to wonder at this point, is there any hope left of me ever becoming a real live boy? Am I too messed up? Am I too scared? Am I too scarred with my past mistakes? Does my father even still love me? But can I tell someone tonight, yes, there is hope. No, you're not too messed up. Your scars can be healed. And yes, 1,000 times yes, he still loves you. Finally, Pinocchio gets it right, and he becomes the real live boy his father had envisioned him to be the whole time. He was finally just like his father. It was a rough trip that seemed impossible at times, but the father's vision was attained. In our opening reading of the potter's house, Jeremiah 18 said, "The word which came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, Arise and go down to the potter's house, and there will I cause thee to hear my words. Then I went down to the potter's house, and behold, he wrought the work on the wheels. And the vessel that he made of clay was marred in the hand of the potter. So he made it again in another vessel, as seemed good to the potter to make it." And I began to think of this story. I've heard it a million times, and you probably have too. But I began to think, I never realized, but there was 2 points of view to this story. You always hear that there's 2 sides to every story. You can have 2 people witness the same incident and surprisingly get 2 total different stories out of it. So also this one had the potter's house. There were 2 viewpoints in the potter's house. First, there was the viewpoint of the vessel. Here the vessel is being molded and shapen. He has such great expectations. The master potter has a vision for me, he thinks to himself. How exciting. I hope he makes me grand. He always does such a great work, and I know I'll be of value. But somehow, as it is being shaped, something happens. Somehow, in the midst of being in the potter's hands, an imperfection occurs. "Oh no," thinks the vessel. "This is terrible. I'm marred." And he begins to look at all the beautiful pottery that's on the shelves. And he's like, "I'll never look like them. I'll never be like that." Because the vessel had no power within itself to change itself. It was up to the potter if there was ever to be any correction to be done. And the vessel knew it. And when it became marred and had imperfection, he thought, well, this is just how it will always be. I will never be like the the beautiful pottery I see on the shelves in the great palaces of the king. I'll never sit there. Because the vessel is powerless within itself, it only saw the doom. The poor vessel fails to see the power and the vision lies in the potter. The vessel feels the hand of the potter begin to crush and re-roll the clay. He thinks, I knew it. He is going to smash me and throw me away. The vision is dead now. All hope is gone. The dreams of making my father proud and being like him are totally over. The vessel weeps in despair. The vessel cries out, I had the best of intentions. I don't know how I ended up here. Can the potter's vision still be attained? He wondered. The vessel wondered, is there any hope left of me ever becoming the vessel my Father envisioned? Am I too messed up? Am I too scarred with my past flaws? And does the potter even still love me? Can I tell you, yes, there is hope. No, you're not too messed up. Your scars can be healed. And yes, 1,000 times yes, he still loves you. The second viewpoint is the potter's viewpoint. His viewpoint starts out a whole lot different than the vessel's vision. The viewpoint starts out with a vision far greater than we can ever see within ourselves. Because it's declared in Jeremiah 1:5, before I formed thee, in the belly I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee. And I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. Jeremiah 29:11 declares, for I know the thoughts that I think towards you, saith the Lord. Thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. You see, the potter's side of the story, I think, would somehow probably go like this. The potter looked at the vessel of clay, smiles and thinks, I have a vision for this vessel. I pray that someday this vessel will be just like me. He places the lump of clay on the wheel and begins to spin. He carefully molds and shapes it. It's going to be a masterpiece of a unique design. When all of a sudden it happens, the imperfection appears. The potter looks, and whereas the vessel panicked and thought it was definitely the end, the potter simply smiles and said, oh, okay, let's just start again. The potter simply says, okay, let's start again. The potter senses the vessel's fear. He smiles and says, fear not, my child. I'm not through with you yet. The potter says, let me show you some of my finished pieces. He pointed to another vessel on a shelf. This piece was beautiful and shines so brightly. The potter said, do you like that one? The vessel nodded. Oh, if I could only be like that. The potter smiled. He said, I call that one David. Said, he was a guy after my own heart. Wow, but I had to do some work on him. You see, several times I had to rework him. I had him on the wheel, and he was marred with murder, adultery, and lying. But each time he climbed right back up on my wheel. It had determination that the potter's vision was attainable. He never doubted one time that what I started I could complete. Yes, David never gave up on the potter's vision. In spite of all his scars, he was determined to become like me. David cried, yes, Father, I know I am way off base of what I was aiming to be. But your vision is still for me. And you declare it is attainable. So here I am. I climb and put myself back on potter's wheel. Lord, start all over on me, because I know the vision of the potter is and has to be attainable. David never gave up, no matter how big the mess, the potter says. So don't be disheartened. You see, my shop is full of makeovers and retries. Oh, and here's one. This one's called Moses, and this one's called Paul. Oh, and here's another one that you might be interested in. His name is Peter. He even denied me thrice. He left the ministry to return to go back to fishing at once, but he stepped back up on my wheel, and he stood on the day of Pentecost and preached Repent and be baptized, every one of you, in the name of Jesus Christ for the remissions of sins, and ye shall receive the gift of the Holy Ghost. You see, Peter, he started out rough. He was pretty marred, but he ended up holding the keys to the kingdom because he never wavered that the potter's vision was attainable. See, the potter realized if the vessel would ever become anything or like him, it was up to him. Becoming anything like the potter or anything of value on its own, the vessel was hopeless. Unless the potter stepped in. So, the God of all, the master potter, stood and looked through time. Seeing much like Papa Geppetto, seeing his sons and his daughters in his likeness, but yet not fully like him. They wanted to be holy and like their heavenly Father, but the clay was powerless to make the transformation. In Matthew 1:21 through 23, it says, "And she shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Jesus, for he shall save his people from their sins. Now all this was done that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken of by the Lord, by the prophet, saying, Behold, a virgin shall be with child, and shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel," which meaning, interpreted, is God with us. So the potter declares, it is up to me. If they are to ever become like me, I must become like them. Only the potter has the power to change the clay. So he stepped on the scene, robed himself in flesh, and said, I know it looks like it's a bleak, hopeless thing. They were having to sacrifice animals just to roll their sins over for one more year. But he finally said, I'm not satisfied with wooden bodies. I'm not satisfied with you being almost like me. I want you to be able to be holy. So I'm going to robe myself in flesh. I'm going to become as the sacrifice that would atone all sin, that you could be just like me. So he throwed his hands open wide on a cross and stood there and hung with 3 nails in his body, because the potter wanted his son and his daughters to be just like him. And he knew that the only way that they could be like him is if he became like them and sacrificed his life. Our Father, he saw your mess. He saw my mess. We were in his likeness, but we were fleshly, in a fleshly, sinful state. And we longed to be like him, yet the vessel was powerless of the need. He calls out to the clay, hold on, I'm coming. I'm going to provide a way for you that you can become and come to the potter's will. So he was born to die. His blood was shed to purchase our salvation. Because of a cross, a heel, and 3 spikes, now the potter's vision is totally attainable. Can somebody say the potter's vision is attainable? Yes, it looked like we were destined to be wooden puppets forever. It looked like we would never be able to be like our dad. It was never going to happen, but the potter just changed all that. Because the potter stepped out, I am changed. He pulled me from the miry clay and set me on the wheel. His spirit is on me and it's in me and it's working every day, purging all the imperfections away. The potter's vision is totally attainable, and he's working on me every day. Yes, I may seem like Pinocchio sometimes. It may look like I'm far cry from where I should be, and I'm a far cry from where my Father's vision is of me. But can I tell you, he's still working on me. There's an old children's song that says, he's still working on me. It took him just a week to make the moon and stars. But it's been 49 years he's been working on this old boy, and I still got a long way to go. But I have faith today that if I just hold on, if I just sit on potter's wheel, that the vision of the potter is attainable. And one day I will get there. I'm a work in progress, and the potter's vision is attainable. Please be patient with me, for God is not through with me yet. But when God does get through with me, I shall come forth as pure gold. So he made it again another vessel. It seemed good to the potter to make it. I may have some rough edges, and the potter still has to unroll and re-roll the clay some days. I may miss the mark, but the potter says, get back on the wheel, boy. I'm not through with you. You face days that are hard, and it feels like you've made a bigger mess than you've ever made, and the devil tries to tell you like Pinocchio, you've got the donkey ears and there's no use and you've even tried. But I cannot tell you, if you'll climb yourself back on potter's wheel and just say, Lord, the work was never intended for me to begin with, but you're the master potter. If I'll just get on the wheel and say, Lord, try me again. Because the potter just simply said, he didn't go into detail and have a complete meltdown. Oh, my God, this is over with. The potter simply smiled and said, oh, let's start again. My vision for you is attainable, the potter cries out. Don't be fearful and don't be weary in well-doing. I'm still working on you. Your finest hours are just ahead. You see, in John 3:2 says this, Beloved, now are we the sons of God, and it doth not yet appear what we shall be. It doth not appear what we shall be. But we know that when he shall appear, somebody, when he shall appear, when we hear the trumpet sound, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. I may not look like much today, but if I can just do like Pinocchio, if I can just do like David, if I can just do like Peter, if I can just keep crawling my hide back on the potter's wheel and say, Lord, just start again. I know I messed up, but God, just start again today, God. Give me a brand new beginning today. If I'll just keep doing that, one day when the trumpet sounds, I shall be like him. You see, like David, I am persuaded I can just stay on the wheel. The vision of the potter is attainable. Stop feeling like a failure. The potter knew what he was working with when he started. And he said, what I start, I am fully able and capable of completing. And I will keep you until the end. Being confident of this very thing, that he that which begun a good work in me, and you will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. What was he saying? He was saying, don't give up. He was saying, don't stop pressing. I know you feel like you're so far off course that there's no use to even trying, but trust my vision. The potter says, trust my vision and hold fast to what I say of you. The vision of the potter is attainable. Many years ago, there was a prophecy preacher, and at first I was totally confused, had no idea what he was even talking about, Brother Pepper. He called me out, and Brother Dale, he told me some other things, but in the midst of him telling me some other things about a house and stuff like that, he said, the Lord showed me, he said, there's three different men in your life. He said, that's going to play a very important role in your life. And I was like, okay. So I'm trying to think who these three men are. I'm like, I hope they're rich. I hope they're loaded. I'm picking. So time went on, Brother Dale. And I was like, and every once in a while it would just come back to him like, man, I was like, my dad? I'm just trying to figure out who these guys are and what role they're going to play in my life. And I was going through a Pinocchio time in my life. And I was looking in the mirror when I realized who the three guys were. I looked in the mirror and I realized that I was looking at three men. I was looking at the man of yesterday, all my faults, past faults and failures. I was looking at the man that I am today that's struggling so desperately to be like my father. And I saw also the man of tomorrow, the man that I so long to be. And the Lord said, that's the three men. see, the enemy is very tricky. Sometimes we start on our journey and we come a long ways. And sometimes the journey has been so gradual that we didn't even realize we were going anywhere. But the devil is sneaky and he's tricky. He will take and he wants to focus on who you used to be. And he wants to shine a light on that. And then what he wants to do is to do away with the man that you are today, Brother Pepper. What he wants to do is highlight and put the spotlight on the man of yesterday and all your past faults and all your failures. And then he wants to put the spotlight in the future of the man that you should be. And what that simply does, Brother Dale, it makes the bridge seem impossible. But he doesn't want you to realize that you've already come the man of today. The old saying, Satan, I ain't all I want to be, but thank God I ain't what I used to be. You see, right now today I'm just wooden. Some days I even have my ears on, my donkey ears. But my father said, the potter said, that if I just be faithful, if I just get back on the wheel again, in spite of all my faults and all my failures, and just let him do a new work in me. No, I'm not there yet, but there's life in me. I have my good days, I have my bad days. But Brother Pepper, if I just hold on, I can be just like my Father. He promised it. So if the enemy has been attacking you, and Brother Justin, I may attempt to sing a chorus that I actually wrote. If the devil's been bombarding you and focusing on your past faults and failures, the potter is standing here today. I felt him in this building. I felt him while I was in prayer. The vision of the potter is attainable. Don't let the enemy talk you out, make you think there's no hope. Don't let the man of yesterday kill the man of tomorrow. You can make it. You can make it. And I feel like the Lord just wants to let us know that he's going to restore some things. If we will stand. I believe he's just going to restore some things. And I believe he's wanting to get us back on potter's wheel. And I was in a service, and we was praying, and I had my eyes closed, and I was sitting at the keyboard, and in my eyes, with my eyes closed, I could hear rain, and I actually began to see rain with my eyes shut. And whenever I opened my eyes, it's like I could see rain falling in the building. And the Lord spoke this little course to me. I finally went ahead and put some verses with it, and my wife come help me again. But there's a song that simply says this. That was a little course the Lord gave me. It said, restoration is reigning in this place. Restoration is reigning in this place. I can hear the Spirit calling to broken lives and those who have fallen. I'm telling you, restoration is reigning in this place. Restoration is reigning in this place. Restoration is reigning in this place. I can hear the Spirit calling to broken lives and those who have fallen. Restoration is reigning in this place. Restoration is reigning in this place. Restoration is reigning in this place. I can hear the Spirit calling to broken lives and those who have fallen. Restoration is reigning in this place. I can hear the Spirit calling to broken lives and those who have fallen. Restoration is reigning in this place. Sing that last line with me. It says, I can hear the Spirit calling to broken lives and those who have fallen. Restoration is reigning in this place. Hallelujah. Let's give the Lord a good hand clap. So if I could leave anything with you, don't be weary. The vision of the potter is attainable. Whatever he said you can be, it can happen. Just trust him and put yourself back on potter's wheel. And don't forget prayer meeting in the morning, and be back Sunday. All right, love you guys, and God bless you. In Jesus' name, you're dismissed.